Okay, hi, grade 9. Um, I know this is kind of weird because I'm recording by Zoom using my own Zoom, and I want to give you some reviews in the summary. The problem is, bear with me, this review, this video will be really bare bones. I mean, I don't have enough time to make it good, appear beautiful. So I'm really sorry if it's bad. I'm really sorry because I don't have time to do that. Um, so shall we get into it then? So I'm really sorry for all of you, grade 9, for Aurel, Davina, Jolene, Damien, and Malik. I'm really sorry. Okay, so let's just start it then. So I want to continue with what we've left. And the problem is that for today, you're supposed to have 2 hours of my subject, of the English subject, but you couldn't have that. So I will give you this video and you just need to watch it and just to review. For next week, we will have some exercises that we will discuss on at the end. I mean, I think on Friday we will discuss it. So let's just start it. Again, I'm sorry for this kind of recording and this kind of video. Okay, here we are. Your review. Yeah, keep in mind that this is bad. I know I don't have time to change anything. I don't have time to give any animation. Okay, so for today, because it's supposed to be 2 hours, but I will make it packed in one video. So we will discuss about label, procedural text, continuous tense, present perfect tense, and passive and active voice. This will be the last, this what we will have in our final term, in our final test, including what we've already reviewed last meeting. Okay, so let's move on. Oh, sorry. I think I'm gonna need to where is it? The annotation, clear all annotation. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here we have all that is everything about label. As you can see here, we have nutrition facts. This is a label of milk. So in here, there is a serving size, which is 1 cup. Serving size means the recommended serving size for each take. It could be also for each day. So if you see this, that means you're only supposed to take about 240 milliliters for one sitting. In this 240 milliliters, okay, maybe I will turn off the laser pointer because we don't need that. I think we're gonna use this one with the red one. Okay, so this is what you will get for one serving. Sometimes the inside of it, or mm, the box is probably for 1 liter, but the serving size is for 240 milliliters. So you only need to take this much. for one time. So what is the meaning of that? For every 240 milliliters, there will be 150 calories. Okay, and then there's also the value that you will get, which is in here. There will be fat, cholesterol, sodium, or you could say natrium, which is also salt, potassium, which is calcium, or you could say something that you could find in banana. And then also the carbohydrate and protein. This is the compositions. And you also will get the vitamins and the nutrients over here. So this is the label. You can read it like that, but keep in mind that all of this, all of this, okay, is for 240 milliliters. So for example, if you take it more than 1 cup, for example, 2 cups, that means you will get twice the amount that you're actually getting. So you will get 300 rather than 150, you will get 300. Rather than 8 grams, you will get 16, and so on and so on. So it's like that. That's how you read the label. Okay, and next one, other than the label, there's also the ingredient. For milk, what we've seen before. Let me maybe put it like this. Okay. For this milk, the ingredients are only cow's milk. That's all. You don't need to put anything inside it. But for cookies, for example, this is oats and chocolate from Fiber One. You could see there are a lot of ingredients. And in ingredients, the one that is at the first one, or the first one that was mentioned, that is mentioned, means has the highest quantity inside this Fiber One oats and chocolate. So it contains a lot of chicory root extract, semi-sweet chocolate chips, and so on and so on and so on. It's kind of a lot for just 1 bar of chocolate. Looks healthy? Think again, because there's also caramel color, may contain peanuts, almonds, sunflower, tricalcium phosphate, sugarcane fiber, and if you look at the sugar, okay, the sugar is 10 grams for 1 bar. And this chocolate is 5 bars. It has 5 bars inside it. Imagine that you eat 5 of them immediately, because I know that 1 bar is not enough. How much sugar will you get? Well, you will get 50 grams of sugar. Humans, we people, human, for adults, we only need about 38 to 40 grams of sugar for 1 day. And we actually get almost all of it from our food, like rice, corn, vegetables, anything that's sweet, that has a sweet flavor, it has sugar. So if we take this, all the rest of the sugar that we don't need will go into our fat. which makes us fatter. That's a little bit trivia about all of these ingredients. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. Okay, so after about label, we talk about procedural text. In procedural text, usually there are ingredients, equipment, and instruction of how to do it. But sometimes the questions from the procedural text, for example, maybe from a recipe, you will be asked about purpose of the text and the reason why the writer wrote the text. Okay, so let's see examples of it. Oh, I'm sorry. So the example usually, I forgot to put it in, but usually you could say about, let's say about recipe. Um, chocolate cake recipe, for example. Okay, usually you will get the ingredients. It could consist of chocolate, bars, sugar, eggs, and etc. And then the equipment, usually the cooking utensils. Oops, equipment. Usually the cooking utensils like maybe an oven, a mixer, etc. And then about the instruction, this is how you do it step by step. Usually it will written with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. That is how the procedural text is. It's not that hard. Procedural text is the easiest text of them all between four types of text. Four types of text, yeah. So this is actually the easiest one, and it's clearly you could see it. Okay, moving on. Now we get insight into what we call as continuous tense. What is continuous tense? Continuous tense means something that is still going on, something or still happening. So continuous tense could be happened in the present, in the past, and in the future. Now we'll see what will happen for the continuous tense one by one. First, we go to the main formula first. Okay, all of the continuous tense has the same formula. You only change it little by little, but the main formula is stays like this. You need the subject, you need the be, which is, we use is, am, are, was, were, and been. But we will not using that. We will use something else for the future. Okay, so we use the be, and then we use the verb ing, and then we use what kind of object, and also the time. Okay, I'm sorry if we're going fast because I'm only recording this. Okay, let's move on to the continuous tense in the present or present continuous tense. Okay, as you can see, you already can see the examples. There will be a lot of examples. But for now, let's focus on the formula first. Okay, so it's actually the subject. With the be, we use is, am, and are. and then we use the verb in. The word now in here, it's supposed to be the time, okay? And usually present continuous tense happened right now. It's still happening right now. We usually don't need to use the now, the word now. For example, you could see it here. Davina is studying. So it depends on the questions. It depends on the answers. But the main thing for the present continuous tense is only until here. Subject with be with verb in. You could add an object. You could add the time, which is now. So let's look at the examples. Damien is sleeping now. Or you could say right now. Right now. I already get used to say right now rather than now. So this is just an example. Davina is studying, and there will be some questions. What is Jolene doing right now? She is watching BTS. What are Malik and Oral doing in the class? They are watching movies together. I'm sorry if this maybe offends you, but I usually use students' name, use your name to be the examples. I've done that before, right? Okay, that is the present continuous tense. Let's move on to the past continuous tense. Now, in the past continuous tense, you probably know it's still the same. The, the main formula is still the same. Subject with be, with verb ing, and then you add object and everything else. But the be that we are using is was and were because this is in the past. Because was and were is the past tense for is, am, are. So if was, it is the past tense for is, and were is the past tense for are. Now, you maybe see that there is when and there is while. What are the differences between two of them? When you use when for something that is happening and another thing also happened. So we use verb to if we use when. Because you could say it's something that is in a different place or in the different time. Not different time, sorry. In a different place, in a different country. So here I have an example that Mr. Daniel was sleeping when Damien texted his parents. So if we use the word when, we always have to use the verb to. In this example, the verb ing was sleeping, and we use when, and then the verb to is texted. That is for when. How about while? It's actually the fundamental is the same. The fundament is the same, but if we use while, we have to use another verbing with be and verbing. I'm sorry, I didn't write the be over there, so let me put it be over here. Okay, and then this is this one. R is were and be supposed to be in here. Okay, so Aurel was watching, so we continue with the example, okay? Aurel was watching BTS while Davina and Damien were going out together. Please don't get mad at me, okay, if I'm using all of you as an example, because if I use all of you as an example, you will remember it better than I use another person's name as an example. Okay, let's move on. So this is the past continuous tense. Yes, you need to change it into was and were, and you need to use when or while. Although sometimes you don't need to. It depends on the questions. Um, Sometimes you don't need this part because maybe the question is about asking someone what they were doing last night. You could say that, for example, okay, let's just, for example, we have a question like this. What were you doing last night? And then you could answer it with, I was playing video games. You don't need anything else, just until there. It depends on the question, really. But if you want to explain something, you need to use these when and while. Okay, I think that's it for past continuous tense. Let's move on to the future continuous tense. Now, this is the easiest one from three of them from the continuous tense. Why? Because all you need is you use will be. That's all. And you don't even need to use the time sometimes because you know it will happen in the future, but you maybe don't know when. That's the difference. You could use the time for maybe next year, next month, but sometimes you don't need that. For example, okay, to be fair, okay, I will use my name. So to be in balance with all of you, I will use my name also in here. And I will insult myself for this one. Okay? The example is Mr. Danny will be watching videos together with his date. Okay, let me remind you, with his date. I don't have a date. I don't have any girlfriend. So don't think too much on that. But in here, I use will be and then watching will be with verb ing. And there is also like this will be with the apostrophe ll. This is the shortened version of we will. So we could use that if we don't use any names, if we use our own pronouns. So I'll, so you could say that oh, sorry, I'll, um, and then will, they'll, although it will be better if you use they will, she, he will, she will, okay, rather than just make a shortened version of it. Okay, that's it for the future continuous tense. Sorry. Now, let's move on to the perfect tense, which is the present perfect tense. This is what is in your book. Although I want to explore more for the perfect tense, which we go to the past perfect tense and then to the future perfect tense. Now, perfect tense, we use, it means something that you've been doing for a long time until now. Yeah. So, like what, for example? Well, I will give you the example later, but we need to know about the formula. It's the same, always starts with subject, but we use have or has, and then we use the verb tree of it, or the past participle of the word. We could, after that, use for or since, and then tell the time. Okay, let's go in it one by one. Why do we need to use have or has? Because In perfect tense, it is something that you have been doing, or you could say it's been a long time. You've done it a long time. So you need to use have or has because it implement the how long it happened. Okay, so you use have or has, and then use the verb tree. And remember about the irregular verbs, the verbs that are different in every type. In verb 1, they will go like what, in verb 2 like what, and in verb 3 like what. For example, okay, I will take the example that every verbs will change for the present tense, past tense, and then the past participle. Okay, let's say sing, that is the verb 1, will become sang, and then sung, sing, sang, sung. This kind of verb. You need to remember this. Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on to the since and for. In the perfect tense, usually we need for and since to know for how long or when it started. If we use for, that means we want to know about the range of time, or you could say about how long has it happened. So the duration of the time. For example, about 5 hours. I've been here waiting for you for 5 hours. You could say that. If since, that means when it started. So like when is the year, when is the time it started, it happened, you use since. Okay. The examples are these two. Davina has lived in Trenggalek ever since she was born. And then Malik has lived in Trenggalek for about 16 years. Maybe 16 years. Okay. I'm just making this up. Okay, Malik? Okay? Okay. So in here, actually both of them almost the same, right? The meaning is almost the same. The point is almost the same. The difference are just because of since and for. That's all. So, oh, I'm sorry. This is not has lived. This is supposed to be has lived. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. So if I make a line between all of them, you could also just say it like this. Davina has lived in Trenggalek and Malik has lived in Trenggalek. So it's just the same. Okay? Okay. Let's move on to the next one, which is our last one about passive voice. So until now, all the sentence formula, the present tense, the past tense, even the perfect tense, use subject with be with verb. However, in the passive formula, we change the object to the front and then the subject to the back. So we get it like this, object with be, but the verb becomes the verb 3 or past participle, and we use the subject. Let's see the example of it. Here we are. The teachers teach the students creatively. This is the present tense for passive. And the passive voice is the students are taught creatively. So you can see that this teach from the verb 1 changes into thought in verb 3. And there's also added are. You maybe could say that where's the teachers? Where's the subject? Sometimes we don't need that if the contexts are clear enough. Like this one, the students. The students, well, they were taught by a teacher. So actually, we don't really need the word by whom, but this is fine. And then for the past tense, now this, I use another example, but with by. So in past tense, actually, the end result is the same, was taken. The difference are the be, was for the past tense, and are for the present tense. That's the whole different. That's all. So passive voice, you just change it from object into the subject. But if you change that, that means you also need to change the be and the verb that is inside of the sentence. And that's it. That is all for our review. Is it long? Maybe. But this is all I can do. I'm sorry. Okay? So I'm sorry that I'm teaching you like this with a recording that is really, really bland. I know. I'm sorry with that. It's just that I don't have time to make it. If I have time, maybe maybe you know that I teach, or I mean I made a video with animation. I wanted that too for this, but unfortunately I don't have time for that. So I'm really sorry. Mm, maybe next time. Okay, maybe next time to summarize all of the reviews that you need to learn. So that is it for now. I'm really sorry for the bad video. I know. I'm really sorry. But I will do my best for you. Okay? Okay? Aurel, Davina, Jolene, Damien, Malik. I will see you again next time. Bye.